Hello again and welcome back to the Tour de France. Well, you know, these are supposedly the easier days of the Tour de France as the riders go away from the Alps, and tomorrow they'll go into the Pyrenees. And they say that the 4 days we'll spend in the Pyrenees, 1 rest day and 3 racing, they're going to have some of the hardest stages for many, many years in this Tour de France. But these past few days have been very, very hot. In fact, we could be excused for thinking we were in Alice Springs rather than down near Montpellier. Today's stage takes the riders away from Montpellier to Perpignan, and 1 or 2 riders fewer than there were yesterday. In fact, starting this morning, 145 riders. The sprint win yesterday by Olaf Ludwig did nothing to the overall classification. Miguel Indurain finished safely in the main pack, with all of the riders that affect him very closely marked around him. The sprint win by Ludwig, well, he didn't do anything at all for him either. He's still in 79th place, 1 hour, 4 minutes and 51 seconds behind. And Phil Anderson, the only Australian in the race now, 10 places further back in 89th position. Yes, we lost Neil Stevens yesterday, and that was very sad for all of us, not least of all Neil himself. Last night, Alan Piper, who rode the Tour a year ago, was commiserating with him in the hotel.
Not such a good day for you, Steve-o.
No, I was on the point of thinking I was coming good after the couple of days in the Alps, and about 4 o'clock this morning things started to go downhill. I got a bit crook, and things went downhill from there.
What happened in the race today?
Well, after being crook throughout the night, I got to the start line without having brekkie, and then I started to try to drink a bit of liquid food. I couldn't hold that down, and then it went on from there. I couldn't hold water down, and when I got shelled, it was goodbye to everything. You know, I just didn't have any strength to carry on.
How did you feel today when you had to climb into the ambulance?
It was a pretty sad sort of thing. In the 2 Tours of France I've ridden, and the Tours of Italy and Tour of Spain, I've never abandoned the race, and I had to really come to grips with it. You know, I sort of struggled on with the bunch as long as I could, and then when I went out the back, well, I just knew that even if I could try to continue on for 4 or 5 hours, suffering along, well, I would have been out of time control. It's a little bit sad, and like a teammate of mine said, it's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the year, and at the end of the month there's another race, and then there's Worlds, and there's lots more opportunities. Everybody
knows you as the gutsy Aussie because last year you rode Tour of Spain, Tour of Italy and Tour de France, finished them all, which has only been done by a handful of people before, and for someone like yourself to do it, it was a mean feat. Now you get into the Tour de France, you've had to stop through sickness. It's the other side of the ball, isn't it? Yeah,
well, it's a bit sad in not only stopping the race, but looking at it realistically. Up until now, I'm a little bit depressed with the amount of work that I've been doing. I think that I normally could do a lot more work for the team, and I've been really struggling and hoping that I'd come good, and I thought for a few days I was coming good, and things went downhill from there. And, I feel a bit sad that I might have taken the place of someone that could have done a better job, and anyway, I can't really look on that. I've got to look for the future now.
Do you think for all the times that you've helped Alex and Laurent and Johan, that now is your time, that they're carrying you a little bit and they understand the situation?
Yeah, I really felt that today in the first, up until when I got shelled off the bunch today, all of my teammates came back and gave me a bit of a pat on the back and made sure that I had plenty of water, and they're very supportive. They've been coming by my room since the finish of the stage, and they really, like I've said before, the feeling in this team, the feeling of friendship and camaraderie is really strong, and they understand that I haven't stopped just because I wanted to, or because I'm lazy, or because I want to go and sit on the beach for a while. They know that I'm crook, and we'll get there the next time, and we'll try to do better.
So a sad feeling in your heart tonight?
Yeah, pretty sad. And like I say, it's the Tour of France, it's the biggest race in the world, and just stop that. It's something else. It's something I haven't done before, and it's something I hope I don't do again.
Where does this go for you from here?
Well, at the end of the month, I've got the Tour of Burgos, and then I've got the World Cup races. They're very important series of races all over the world, and then on to the World Championships in Norway at the end of the year. I'll be racing right up until the end of October this year, and then I'll be looking forward to for a good break back in Oz.
These first 2 weeks of the Tour de France have meant real hard work for Neil Stevens. I suppose he's paying the price for it now, but no doubt his Once team will miss him for the remaining week of this Tour de France. The route today is a long one in very, very hot and humid conditions, 224 kilometres. There's a nasty little climb around set. It's third category, and it could hurt a lot of riders in this race. It's not all flat today, and the sprinters may be denied it at the finish. Let's join the action.
The early morning mist already starting to burn off, but this afternoon's highs 30 degrees Celsius will mean the third hot day in the run for these riders. There's a possibility of thunderstorms late in the day, and the wind will be a westerly wind which towards the end at 40 kilometres an hour will push the riders towards the finish.
The ride has been going now for 45 minutes, 22 kilometres under the belt, and a sprint win for Abdou Japarov at Frontignan. In second place his teammate Jan Zurada, third Laurent Jalabert. And an attack now by Stephen Roach approaching set. But you can see now the main field, they're closing in behind him, and again this is an attack which will not be successful. And these early kilometres today, there's plenty of activity, 35 covered now. This is another counter-offensive here. Pascal Lino of France, Giancarlo Perini of Italy. And just up the road there you can see there are three leaders, and it's Mario Chiesa, Johan Bruneel and Gianni Falazin. These five riders coming together. And it seems too as though those five riders have been given their head now, because the main field here in the hot and humid conditions, enjoying the scenery in the wine region of the Languedoc. The time gap is growing. And this is the breakaway which has now established itself. Johan Bruneel of the Once team, two of his teammates now out of this race, going today, Leonis Baruthia, and yesterday Neil Stevens abandoned. And Bruneel, the best placed in this five-man breakaway, but even so, still more than 30 minutes behind Miguel Indurain. We're on the climb of the Col d'Extrême now, the last of the climbs today. It's only a fourth category climb. And the very, very hot weather on the interior roads here of France today, now giving way to cloudy weather that threatens a heavy storm.
Well, this breakaway may give the French a chance at last to shout about something. Pascal Lino, number 41 there, the man who held the yellow jersey last year for such a long time in the Tour de France, may be looking for that stage victory.
And the quirks of cycling, in fact, Lino now riding for a team which is registered in Andorra. And it's Andorra where we will go tomorrow and back into the Pyrenees, so he's making a bid to get the country on the map. The Festina team there of Pascal Lino. Well, everybody is now talking openly about the demise of French cycling on the Tour de France. And Bernard Hinault, the 5-times winner who works here with the organisation, is saying, well, maybe they're not hungry enough for success anymore, or they don't prepare properly for this event. He never mixes his words, Bernard Hinault, in fact, and he wants to see more action from the French riders. So Lino today getting in this league group. There's Bruneel actually calling up his teammate, probably for a team car, probably for a drink, as we can now look down at the chase. It's the Banesto team who are keeping the tempo. The last time check we got was a little over 10 minutes. They've still got them within their reach before the finish down in Perpignan. But it'll be more a case, I think, Paul, of limiting their gains possibly now than bringing them back into the fold.
Well, it's not their job really to bring that breakaway back, because it is not dangerous at all. As we said, Johan Bruneel is 26th at the moment, over 30 minutes behind the leaders. So he will just try and, the Banesto team will just try and keep that at a reasonable limit, and they won't overextend themselves, because tomorrow they're going to have to do a really big job.
This is Titi Clavarola, who tried to put in a big bid for another win in the King of the Mountains this year. He's done it once before, but in fact he found that the hills of the Alps towards the end a little bit too hard. He's dropping back to look for his team car, and you can see there the long line of riders in the main field. And it is Indurain's brother here at the front now, Prudencia, who's setting out the rhythm.
The fact that Telecom still have a complete team of 9 riders to prepare the finish for the team sprinter is a definite advantage. Every rider, apart from Olaf Ludwig, set the pace at the front to bring back the 4-man breakaway who had escaped in the closing kilometres. They kept the pace high all the way to the line, in what was an ideal lead-out by Uwe Raab, who left Olaf Ludwig with just 400 metres to go. Even with Jamaluddin Abdjaparov on his wheel, the superb job done by the Telecom team gave him the stage victory.
Yes, the team was today very, very good, and the last 1,000 meters was also good. I have a good teamwork with Uwe Raab, and it was for me the best position of the last 400 meters, and it's not alone a victory for me, it's a victory for the team.
Still hanging in on that last time check we had, which was just 10 minutes over the field. So they're losing ground now, but in the kilometres that remain, it might be enough to escape, to sprint out for the stage win. In fact, Paul, it would be an interesting sprint finish, this, because I don't know anybody who can sprint.
Well, it will be an interesting sprint. Obviously, Pascal Lino would like to win for the French team, but I think the fact that there are two riders from the ZG Montpellier team could have an effect on that. And let's not forget that Giancarlo Perini is a very good finisher. He, in fact, just finished second last year, I believe, a couple of years ago, to Valerio Tiboldi on the stage to Montpellier. So he's a rider who could outfox them all, but Brunel is also a clever rider, and he may well be able to surprise them in the last kilometre or so. We saw how he won that stage on the road into Amiens.
Well, none of these riders really, apart from perhaps Perini, have had a very illustrious season this year. Hardly a win between them under their belts. But of course, when you are a professional, you don't always get the chance to win. When you're on a team of the class of the team that rides the Tour de France, you have a specific job, a specific role to play, and you often have to help your team leaders win rather than take the chance yourself. So when you haven't won a race all season, it doesn't mean you're having a bad season. You might just be being forced to work hard for your team. Now, a little request here from number 13 on stage 14 of the Tour de France. Mario Chiesa would like a drink, please, and as quickly as possible. And just making sure he gets the full use out of what's left of that. And here comes the team car. Again, the race referees always ride first car behind the groups of riders on the road. When the hand does go up like that, then the referee will immediately call the team car forward, in French of course, and tell him which number, which rider, and that car knows exactly what he wants and comes up as fast as possible.
Normally, in fact, when the bunch is all together, you have to take your bottles or give clothing back behind the race referee's car. But in a situation like this, when you have a breakaway of less than 10 or 12 riders, then the team manager is allowed to actually come into the breakaway, because that way it stops the rhythm being broken up.
It's also nice for the press as well, because we also get closer to the race as well. Now we're heading towards the sprint at Touquin, 180 kilometers covered. In the first 8 days of the Tour de France, there were small time bonuses. They've all gone now, no more time bonuses, but the points scored do count towards the green jersey competition. But again, none of these 5 riders has an interest in that, and so they'll just want the small monetary prize. It's not a lot of money, about £100 for the first rider over the line.
I think what's more important to these 5 riders at the moment is actually to stay away and look at the big prize at the end of the road down here in Perpignan, the one for the stage victory.
And as you can see, the time check now coming in at the main field have dropped back to 30 minutes after the climb of the Col d'Extrême, and the Benestos here sitting at the front. Well, you could hardly say they are chasing, can you? The second rider from the right is Jean-Francois Bernard, former third-place finisher in the Tour de France and a great rider as well. The chase clearly not on at the moment, and time is running out for the main field in the Tour de France today. And as the riders now make their way towards Perpignan, it's time to remind you of our great competition with Bicycling Australia and SBS joining and giving you some great prizes. Here's the details.
To be in the draw, entry forms are in this issue of Bicycling Australia. Turn to the Tour de France section and answer the question: who was the winner of the 1992 Tour de France? For your chance to win a trip for 2 flying Cathay Pacific to Paris at any time of your choice within 12 months. Also an outfit worn by riders in Le Tour, plus products from Avocet, Giro and Time. Included in this issue is your chance to win a Look KG 156 bicycle with accessories from Mavic. So be quick and send your entries to SBS Television.
Now back with the Tour de France, and just a few moments ago the break has split up. We're now looking at Pascal Lino, the man who led the Tour de France for 10 days last year and hasn't really distinguished himself all of this race. He's now trying to get a stage win, and with him has gone Giancarlo Perini, the rider who finished 8th in the Tour de France last year. It was Perini's attack. It came with 20 kilometers to go. Pascal Lino followed him, and of course Perini has a teammate he's left behind to look after Mario Chiesa and Johan Brunel, and that is Gianni Farazan. So they're not too far behind, but now it's the 2 greyhounds trying to escape for the finish. There's no danger at all of the main field coming back, because they are still losing ground. Can you believe that? And the last time check we had was 15 minutes. 145 starters today. the abandoned so far in the Tour de France, now 37. Two more joining them on the road today. Jan Zerada, he finished well in the first sprint of the day, and then came the first climb, and he was dropped and he abandoned. And soon after that, Alberto Leonid Baruthia from the Once team, he's gone as well. A steady speed today, 34.5 kilometres an hour, what we've been conveyed from the race, but I think it'll be slightly better than that now. We're still on the record with only just a 40.804 kilometres an hour, and no change at all in the men who are leading the three jerseys of the top competitions of the Tour de France. Indurain in yellow, Rominger in the polka dot, and Abdu Japarov in the green. Now, these two riders here, we expected the move, I think, Paul, to come from Perini today.
Well, definitely, because he had his teammate in there who's been, at the moment, in the second group. He won't work at all. That's Gianni Farizan, and you can see that the riders are going away there. The time check now 35 seconds. To begin with, it was hovering around the 12-second mark, but now there will only be two riders chasing them. That'll be Johan Brunel and Mario Chiesa from the Carrera team.
I would think there'll be goose pimples on the arms here of Pascal Lino. He's carrying an awful responsibility today. It's the nearest France has come to a stage win, and he will feel he's got to take this stage out at the finish, because everybody criticising the French for their poor riding. He's got his chance now. Last couple of days we've seen his former teammate Richard Baronk doing a lot of riding at the front because he was passing through the area where he lived, but now Pascal Lino has taken over here. Well, those five leaders may have split up, but the whole Banesto team, they're really just playing out the role as being part of Miguel Indurain's squad here, because they're just tapping along at the front, keeping the rhythm. None of those riders up the front will affect Indurain's lead today, and it seems nobody else in the race either wants to take up the chase today.
Lino decided now that he'd rather wait for the group behind. The group coming down quite rapidly. It's now 32 seconds to the three chasing riders.
And there's confirmation of that, Paul. You must be psychic. And now we've got the two riders here. If it does come back, you know, we've got Chiesa back there, who has tried every day to feature in at the finish. And it could well be even Johan Brunel, one stage win under his belt already. That's one that was the fastest stage in the history of the Tour de France, way back in the north of France. And he is also now in with the possibility of coming back. So it looks as though, in fact, the bluff here by Pascal Lino has forced Perini to start working again, which is most unusual. Perini has been forced to start setting the pace again. Well, hats off, Pascal.
Well, you've got to be really cold-blooded to try and make a move like that. That's the kind of attitude that riders like Jan Raas and Jerry Kneteman used to have in the old days. They would say to a rider, I don't even care if it comes back together. It's up to you. If you want to win the race, I'm just going to stay here. So he's made a good move, and it may well be that that would just keep them in front to the kilometres to go flag, and then they stand a chance. But it's coming back still 20 seconds.
And while the cat and mouse goes on at the front there between the two leaders, look at this. Miguel Indurain really isn't interested, is he? Looks very cool and collected. Tomorrow, of course, a big day for him, as for the rest of the main contenders in the Tour de France, because they're off into the high Pyrenees. And the crowd here in Perpignan is as big as any we've seen throughout the Tour de France.
Well, it must be a very nervous moment, because I would think Giancarlo is thinking about the stage in 1989 when he came to the finish line with just two riders like this, a group of two with Valerio Tiboldi, and he lost out to his Italian compatriot.
Well, he's not a stage winner yet in the Tour de France, and for that matter, neither is Pascal Lino. None of the riders in this lead group of five today has ever experienced the joy of winning a stage of the Tour, so they all want it. 1 kilometre to go for the three chasers. So it's about 800 metres to go for the two in the lead. Lino has the lead at the moment. That's not where he wants to be. He would like Perini in front of him, and he'll probably ride close to the barriers soon and force an attack from Perini on one side of him only, as he wanders all over the place here. He wants to wait, and he doesn't know whether he should or not.
It's beginning to look like a track finish now, as Lino keeps standing up and sitting down on those pedals, looking around. The gap actually at the red flag was 8 seconds. As they come up to the 400 or 500 metres to go, you can see the three chasers behind, but they're going through the same scenario.
It's amazing, because they have a teammate of Perini back there who won't work either. They're trying to bring him through, and they're throwing away a chance of a victory here as we look to the three of Chiesa's on the right. Now back to the leaders. They've come almost to a standstill today. 5.5 hours in the saddle. Lino has committed himself to lead out. Perini. This is for France. As we see the flags of Catalonia waving, Pascal Lino searching for the first stage victory for France, and Perini is going to take him on. Giancarlo Perini is coming, they're neck and neck to the line, and my goodness me, I don't know which one won. It was either Lino or Perini, but that will go to the photo. Chiesa and Brunel, everybody is shrugging their shoulders, nobody knows. Brunel gets third, Chiesa is fourth, and then comes the fifth place rider, Ferrazan, in the breakaway, but nobody here knows who's won. It must have been desperately close. And so on the line, you can see it's Pascal Lino who's taken it. Lino gets the first stage victory for France, and Perini will have to be content with second place by a quarter of a wheel. And now 1 kilometre to go, 15 minutes have ticked by since the arrival of Pascal Lino and Giancarlo Perini, and the Lamprey team are now trying to bring the race up to boiling point in the hope that their rider, Jamaluddin Abdou-Japarov in the green jersey, can come out of the slipstream and snatch sixth place on the stage. There he is in the green jersey, about 6 men down. But there's going to be challenge, I think, by the Carrera team, are also running high today. And also on the far left of our picture, we've got Olaf Ludwig, the winner yesterday. These riders still in the hunt for the green jersey, because remember, Abdou-Japarov is susceptible in the Pyrenees and may not finish this tour yet. Indurain just keeping nicely out of trouble in the centre of the field, as the riders are looking over the shoulder saying, where is Jamaluddin? And he's not there. The little sprinter is coming now on the left of our picture. Very strongly he comes to. It's going to be a bit of a formality for him, I think, as he takes it on the line, oh, very closely. On the line, indeed, the rider that running very, very close was Laurent Jalabert, and the two of them making it 6th and 7th on the line, 16 minutes and 18 seconds down. And again, Indurain has let a few riders escape the field, but it'll make no difference tonight. Well, you could probably hear in the background here, the cheers are not for the winner today, who is from France, but indeed for the race leader, Miguel Indurain. We're very close to the Spanish borders, and tomorrow, of course, we go into Andorra, and everybody's getting warmed up because all of the supporters here are, in fact, Spanish. But it was a French winner today, Pascal Lino getting the better of that 5-man breakaway. The Great Escape, we'll call that one, because it was in the lead for the best part of 200 kilometres. Here's the result first. Pascal Lino winning in that photo finish ahead of Giancarlo Perini of Italy. Johan Brunel was third, Mario Chiesa was fourth, Gianni Ferrazan was in fifth place. Abdou-Japarov brought home the whole field, but over 60 minutes back. And at the finish, Alan Piper was with a very happy Frenchman, Pascal Lino.
Pascal Lino.
Pascal, vous avez peur dans les derniers kilomètres? Vous êtes rattrapé par les trois derrière?
Ça y est, Pascalino commence à parler. Jean-René, vous êtes en direct sur Europe 1.
Vous savez que derrière, il y avait un autre ZG avec Baresi qui était sûrement le plus rapide des 5. Donc...
Et pourquoi Perini recommençait de rouler?
Je tiens, ok. Je crois qu'il a craqué un peu. Parce que
ok, tous les trois. Hein.
Moi, si je suis avec lui, je roule pas, mais
Pascal est connaît depuis l'an dernier.
C'était un peu juste dans la sprint, hein?
Ouais, je sais pas. Honnêtement, je sais pas si j'ai gagné.
Ouais.
J'ai jeté le vélo sur la ligne, je sais pas du tout.
Félicitations.
Well, the French can breathe a little bit more easily now. They've got one stage under the belt. They usually say the next one will come a lot easier than this one did. Overall, though, no change at all. Miguel Indurain cruising again today. 3 minutes 23 seconds still ahead of Alvaro Mejia. Zenon Yaskula third, Tony Rominger fourth. You can see Phil Anderson too is still where he was this morning. Everybody, in fact, didn't change today in the Tour de France.